Hi, I'm Stephen Tryon. I'm the founder of accountabilitycitizenship.org. This was a big week in Washington and for our country. Of course, we had the 4th of July celebration on Friday, and I hope everybody had a great holiday weekend, celebrating the history of our great country. Congress, of course, was rushing all week to pass a budget bill, and that budget bill got a lot of attention in the media. There's a lot of conflicting information about what the budget bill did or will do, and whether it's going to be good for our country or not good for our country. Accountabilitycitizenship.org aims to inform voters, to create an informed electorate, to vote intelligently on issues when we have the opportunity to vote on those issues. I started accountabilitycitizenship.org in 2013 when I published my first book, Accountability Citizenship. Now, accountability citizenship, I like to tell people, is a toolkit for information age citizenship. The intuition for this book and for starting the company was that the information age has overwhelmed the American electorate with a lot of information, too much information in many cases, more information than the people are prepared to handle. And so we get distracted, perhaps, with misinformation. And it's easy to become overwhelmed and to kind of go down into a rabbit hole or into our personal biases and not make decisions based on the best available information. So the intuition here with the toolkit for information age citizenship was to help provide tools for processing information that would help you understand really the most significant things about the many complex issues that face our country. And so this week, when the Congress passed the budget bill for fiscal year 2026, which starts on the 1st of October, and there was this tremendous rush to get it done by the 4th of July, which has never really been a thing before. Usually you get the budget bill passed before the fiscal year starts, and that's sufficient. So the rush to get the bill passed by the 4th of July seemed unusual to me. And given the tremendous amount of conflicting information about what the bill did or does, and whether the bill will be good for American citizens or whether it will harm American citizens, caused me to consider how I might use accountability citizenship as a way of cutting through a tremendous amount of information on all sides of this bill. I've decided I'm going to use a series of videos to help inform people who want to be informed about what the bill is, where they can read the text of the bill, and where we can dialogue a bit about what the bill does and whether it's good for the American people or not. Now, if you haven't read the Constitution lately, I encourage you to do that. I personally like the very first paragraph as a way of simplifying my own understanding of whether the government is doing things that are good for the American people or not good for the American people. Because in the very first paragraph here, the founders lay out what the government is supposed to do, what the purposes are. They say, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. So one thing, the government's supposed to act in ways that form a more perfect union. Establish justice. So the government is supposed to do things that establish justice. Ensure domestic tranquility. The government's supposed to do things that keep the waters calm in our society. Provide for the common defense. Government is supposed to make sure that we have adequate systems and organizations in place to protect us. Promote the general welfare. That just means generally taking care of all citizens. And secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Those are the 6 things that the founders said the government is supposed to do. So as I go through this process with this video, what I'm going to be thinking and what I'm going to be trying to illuminate is whether this HR1 that our elected officials seem to be in such a rush to pass by the 4th of July, several months before it was necessary, and really before it was allowed to be scrutinized, in my view, appropriately. I'm going to be looking hard to see whether the elements of that bill are consistent with those 6 purposes of government. And I'm going to ask you, if you have the patience to participate in this video series with me, to examine whether or not your elected officials, your members of Congress, your representatives, your senators did the right thing by voting for this bill or by voting against the bill. And I want you to hold them accountable then when the midterms come around in the fall of 2026. And that's the whole purpose behind this series of videos. Now, tonight, my objective is very, very simple. I'm simply going to present to you the website where you can go for yourself and look at the text and look at some of the supporting documentation that's available, some of the estimates on whether what the bill is going to do to our deficit, etc. That's really all I want to do with this particular first episode, if you will, of this video series. But my intent going forward is to take my time and to walk you through various sections that I think illuminate what our elected representatives have just done. I'm going to try to keep these videos very short, 10 minutes or so, and focus on the meat and guide you to where you can go and do some of your own research if you have the time and the inclination to do that. This is a screenshot of the page on the congress.gov website where you can go and actually read the bill that your members of Congress voted on. And I encourage you to do that. So let me just go ahead and this is the website right here. Oops, see, there we go. Right there, that's where you go. That's what you type into your computer browser, okay? And then there's a couple of other things I want to highlight. If you want to read the text of the bill, you'll notice down here there's a bunch of tabs. There's a summary tab. The text I have highlighted because I've been looking at the bill myself a little bit. There are different actions there, the timeline of actions, some different amendments that have been offered, different things that you can see here that are specific to the bill. Committees, what the committees did, and you can look at all those tabs. But to me, the important one that we're going to focus on most, and that will allow you to read the actual text of the bill, is that tab right there. Okay. Up here, you've got just some information on the history of the bill. You've got some information on committee reports. The latest action is that it was presented to the president. Actually, the latest action should read that the president signed it into law on the 4th of July. And then if you look over here, this is really an interesting section right here, because this is where you see the Congressional Budget Office estimate on how much what the bill is going to do to our deficits. And that's one of the big points of contention, depending on whether you watch Fox News or whether you watch MSNBC, or whether hopefully you watch a balance of all of the above. You're going to get a different take on what this bill is going to do to our deficits over the next 10 years, over the period that we usually use to evaluate legislation. And so these are things that we're all going to look at, and then various reports from the Congressional Research Service pertaining to the bill. And then, of course, there's also a tab right here that's very interesting that would allow you to contact your member of Congress. So there you go. And then you can look by subject as well at different pieces of the bill. So we will use all of these elements of the webpage as I go through this series of videos. And my intention is to take my time. I don't know how many videos it will take, but I'm not going to rush it. And I am going to examine the actual text of the bill. And I encourage you to come back and take a look at these videos as I go through. Again, I'll try to keep them short and sweet. But that's really all I wanted to do tonight, was to introduce you to the project. And we'll talk again soon. Thank you.